Welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Chinese Tier 2 light tank, the Vickers Mk Type B, also sometimes known as the VAE Type B. So, is this tank any good? Yeah, it's okay. It's a terrible tank with a great gun, which makes it an okay tank. These tanks were obviously British made and exported and sold to China, but they were also sold to Russia. So the T-26 is essentially the same tank, but its stats are a fair bit different, and it doesn't get the pom-pom gun, which is the gun that really makes this tank. So I'll get into the review. It has 170 hit points, which is sort of average to high for this tier. Weighs from 7 to 10 tons, has 100 horsepower, and a speed limit of 35. Now 35 is quite slow for a light tank in tier 2. There's a lot of quick tanks around. Only the Hotchkiss 35 and the D1 are slower. Not only is it slow top speed, but it accelerates poorly, goes up hills poorly, and it's a putt-putt sort of an engine. It's just not very good. The traverse speed of 48 though is very good, so it will turn on the spot quickly, so it helps if people are trying to get your back. You can keep your front of your tank facing them. It doesn't make a lot of difference, however, because the front of the tank, the armor is very weak anyway. Now the turret traverse is only 24, which is poor. Half of the tanks at this tier 2 seem to have a very poor turret traverse, and the other half seem to have good turret traverse. So this isn't one of the halves that has poor turret traverse. The view range of 310 meters is average, and the signal range of 300 is very poor and is the equal worst. It shares that honor with the BT2, the T26 of course, and the T60. Now the camouflage on this tank is a little better. It's about average. It's about average. However, it's a little better than the T26, which is very odd. It's the same tank. Anyway, there you go. Now, so you can't claim Russian bias there, can you? You got the same tank, and the Chinese one has slightly better camouflage. Now, none of the tanks at tier 2 maintain their camouflage while moving, as some of them do in higher tiers. Now, let's get into the research and gun selection so I can tell you what's going on with this tank. I'm getting confused. Here it is. Alright, now I'm not going to go into everything. It's a tier 2 tank, so you can get components pretty quickly. Basically, the first gun you start with is actually pretty good, the 47mm Vickers QF, and you've got this other gun which has less pen but a lower damage but a higher rate of fire. But anyway, you want to get off those as quickly as possible. Get the upgraded turret, which has a little bit of mantlet armor on it. That's about the only difference. And then you get to these two guns. Now I'm going to put the pom-pom over here. That's the auto loader, and the other gun here. Now, when I ran this gun, the 45mm 20K, the tank was terrible. When I ran this gun, the pom-pom, the tank became quite good. So why? Well, okay, the 45mm has a 26.09 rate of fire, which is quick, quite good. Has a 51 pen, which is very good. Does 47 damage, which is pretty good. And has a accuracy of 0.46, which is not very good. And aim time of 2.1, which is longish, not great at this tier. Okay, the pom-pom, by comparison, is a 4-shell auto-loader. So it has 4 shells in a magazine, and it fires a shot every 0.63 of a second. So around about, you'll fire your 4 shells in about, what, 3 seconds, something like that. A bit less than that, probably 2.5 seconds. And it takes 8 seconds to reload the magazine, which is not too bad. You can pretty much usually hide for about 8 seconds if you pop back behind a wall. If they rush you, it might be a problem. 49 penetration, so very similar. For an autoloader, that's very good penetration. And 45 damage, which is also very similar to this gun, which does 47. 0.45 accuracy, which is actually better than the 45mm, and a 1.9 second aiming time, which once again is better than the 45 20K. So really, where does the pom-pom lose out against the 20k? Well, 2mm less penetration, 2 hit points less damage per shot, but it's more accurate and it aims quicker, and it fires 4 shots in one burst. So essentially 4 times 45, that's 180 hit points. That will kill any other tier 2 tank. The highest hit points of any tier 2 tank is 180. So if those 4 shells, that's if it does average damage or more. If it does less than average damage, you might not. But you can assume over 4 shots, you'll probably do pretty close to average damage. So if somebody rushes you and you've got 4 shells in your magazine, you can go bang, 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 and they're dead so long as they're penetrated. And with 49 pen, most of the time they will. I had a T-18 try and rush me. I just aimed at his front lower plate and put the 4 shots in, and he was dead. They have 150 hit points. In fact, I think only 3 of them went in, and it killed him. So they must have done slightly higher than average damage. So, you know, it works. Whereas with this single shooter gun, the 20k, you put a shot into them, and then you've got to wait for reload, put in that shot. And people with, because you've got no armor, people with auto loaders, those sort of guns, the rapid firing guns, just come around and go, bah, 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 and you're dead. So that's why the pom-pom works. The tank has no armor, but the pom-pom can deliver a killing blow in one burst. So you can really defend yourself well. Whereas the other, yeah, this sort of, I guess the 20k would work okay if you were sniping, but it's not as accurate anyway. So really, for 2mm of penetration, it's not worth it. The pom-pom is a good gun and turns this tank from an absolute stinker into an okay tank. I think that's about all we need to tell you, other than gun depression. Now, the gun depression on this tank isn't great. Well, actually, that's one disadvantage of the pom-pom. With the pom-pom, we have 6 degrees of gun depression and 23 elevation. 23 elevation is fine, but 6 degrees gun depression is pretty terrible, especially at this tier, and is the only tank, well, it's equal to the M2, and there's one other tank that's worse than that, and that's the T6, which has 5 degrees of gun depression, and that's the worst of all tier 2s. So it's pretty bad. However, if you use the 20k gun instead of the pom-pom, you'll get 8 degrees of gun depression and 25 elevation. Now, 8 degrees still isn't great, but it's more serviceable on a hill, whereas this is not going to be any good to you on hills, so don't stay on hills. Alright, let's get into the review. Oh, actually, I might just quickly compare this to the T26 because it is the same tank. I don't want you to get the idea that they perform the same, because they don't. The T26 has 180 hit points versus 170 for the VAE here. The speed is pretty much the same. The track traverse is 52 on the T26 and 48 on this tank, so it's faster on the T26. The turret traverse is 46 on the T26 versus 24 on this tank, so it's a lot faster on the T26. Whereas the view and signal ranges are identical. Camouflage is slightly better on this tank, and of course you will get slightly better gun depression. Well, it's the same gun depression, but if you use the pom-pom, you've got a little bit less than the T26. So that gives you a bit of a rundown. Let's get into Tank Inspector and some gameplay. So, thanks to the makers of Tank Inspector, we're able to check out the armour of the mighty VAE Type B. Let's colorise it and have a look, shall we? These yellow areas here are a whopping 13mm of British steel, and the upper plate, which is extremely well sloped, I must say though, is 8mm, and this driver's compartment, this is how much we care about the driver, he gets 5mm. It's less around the driver. And then we have, this is the same 13mm, and the front of the turret is, this is the upgraded turret, is 15, which is terrible. And we have this red band that goes around the mantlet, which is 30mm, which will bounce some autocannon fire. And the mantlet itself is 15 near the center, but as you get out to the sides, it is 15 over 15, which is not bad. So the mantlet could take a shot. The rest of the turret probably not. On the side of the tank, the sides are 13mm and the turret is 15mm. Rear of the tank is also 13mm, and the same as the turret is 15mm. So pretty much no armor, except the mantlet is not too bad. However, with the 6 degrees of gun depression, you're not going to be hill fighting this tank anyway. So it's just going to be a matter of luck, hopefully. If you can cover the rest of your tank up, you might be able to bounce some shots off there. Okay, let's. I've got a quick clip with just showing you a tank that one shot killed me, so you can have a look at that, and then we'll get into a game. I've only got one game. Okay, so I don't have the pom-pom gun on it, but this is just to show you. I was surprised actually this tank one shot killed me. Here we go. M2 medium. You can see the slow aim time didn't help us there, but yeah, one shot killed.
Time to roll out.
The map is Province. It's a tier 2 game. There's a couple of tier 1 tanks as well. I've only got the one game for you today because it didn't take many games to grind it, of course. And I'm actually trying to get to tier 4 as quick as possible because there is a tank KV-22 at the moment. They're going to give one away to you plus a garage slot. If you can get 50,000 XP in every nation, but you have to be in the top 10 in the game in experience to add to that 50,000. Now I've qualified in every nation except Japan, which I'm almost there, and China. Now I didn't have any Chinese tanks, so now that I've qualified in other nations, I thought, oh, I've got to go for it. Now you can see there, 418 meters. I'm getting a red indicator. Check that out. Red indicator in the center. 418 meters is out of range. Now look at that. It's green now, and he's at 393 meters. So, and it penetrated. And now it's gone red again. So the maximum range of this pom-pom gun is about 400 meters. Pretty close to 400.
We didn't even scratch them.
You can see there you can fire quite rapidly with this gun. It will fire more quickly than it can aim between shots, being an auto loader. So you got to be a little bit careful. But at close range, this tank is very powerful. Its gun is very powerful, but it's the only thing is without any armor, it's also quite dangerous to yourself at close range. But I'm in this pretty fancy sniping position here on the Province map. It's very hard for people to see you. You're camouflaged and you can hit just about everyone. Some targets are too far away though, but 300 meters here is long range for one of these auto-loaded guns. They do lose a fair bit of pen over range, so I am having trouble penetrating some of these. I'm not going to pen the tier 10. Well, I might fluke one in, but if I can get the upper plate, I might get him. He's exposed his upper plate now. And I haven't reloaded in time. So you can see there, 410 meters, he's out of range. So we're winning 10-5, so we're slaughtering them really. And yeah, so I figure it's probably about time to move out of here now. I'm not really going to get any more easy kills from here, and oh well, maybe I will.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
So I choose to reload there because there's nothing else around. And you can see it's 8.65 seconds reload at the moment. That's because my crew is only about 76% in this game. So instead of being 8 seconds, it's 8.65. So I guess too, that's the other thing. The accuracy of this gun would be better if the crew was fully trained, of course. So as you can see, downhill the tank goes okay, but on the flat it really isn't anything. So I've stopped now. Now I'm accelerating again. You can see that it's not very quick. The tank is fully upgraded. Now, the only reason I'm going out sort of in the open here is I know there's at least 2 tanks on my left there against that on the other side of their cap. And the other tanks are, I believe, at the top of the hill behind the chalet or whatever it is up there. So I'm going to stay close to this side and then use the buildings to cover me from the guys on the other side, and then I'm hoping I can spot the guys on the other side and maybe get some shots in them. They've spotted me first. Got a few shots in, but I've made it to the building. There they are over there. One of them's an L tractor. I should be able to penetrate him. He's a tier 1. Okay, the building's obscuring it. There's the other guy up there. So we pretty much know where they all are now. So now it's just a matter of being a little bit careful, spotting for the other guys on the team.
We didn't even scratch them.
So the Panzer II there, we're having a bit of trouble penetrating. Oh, we get one in.
Enemy armor is hit.
And he actually bounces off us, so we're pretty long range for him as well. Alright, so those 2 tanks are gone. So it's only these 2 tanks over here now from the look of it. Just can't quite spot them at the moment. Oh, there's the old tractor.
Enemy armor is damaged. Enemy is hit.
Well, our shot's winning and we set him on fire. And he's just died. So, there you go. And the other tank's dead. That's it. End of the game. Now, I do apologise for that being a bit of a boring game, but I didn't play many games in the tank, and I thought I'll just review this quickly before I get rid of it. So you can see there that that was our Class 1 badge, so it should be fairly easy to get mastery in this tank. I'm not going to bother with it, but you know, if you want to get mastery in a tank, this would be pretty easy. As you saw by that one-shot kill, at close range it is in a bit of trouble, but if you have the pom-pom gun fitted, which I didn't have in that clip, it'll aim quick and you can fire 4 quick shots and kill, like I say, any other tier 2 tank, and you'll devastate a lot of tier 3 tanks as well. So from that point of view, the pom-pom gun makes this tank, this tank is the pom-pom gun. Without the pom-pom gun, this tank is horrible. So yeah. Alright, so you see there we hit a lot of tanks. We're in a pretty easy position now. So we actually finished on top for experience and on top for damage as well, which was surprising. So okay, there you go, and let's have a look. We fired 34 shots, 17 of those were direct hits. Well, we were pretty long range shooting with a auto loader. We out of the 17 direct hits, we got 10 penetrations, which was pretty good considering the range we were shooting at. Like I say, at close range, you can penetrate any other tier 2 and a lot of tier 3s without any problem from the front. And even the T-18, which you saw me having trouble with there, I did have one try and rush me at close range in one of the games. And like I say, I just aimed at his upper plate and started firing, and 3 shots was enough. It killed him. So you can outshoot them so long as they don't completely destroy you with their HE. Damage we did 386, which is not bad at tier 3. Hits received 13, penetrations 9. So we bounced 4 shots. That was mainly at long range from I think that Panzer II, which also had an autocannon, so he probably lost a lot of penetration over range. We were very, very lucky with our minuscule armour. We spotted 3, damaged 6 and destroyed 2. Also did a fair bit of spotting damage there at the end. And as you can see, the tank is reasonably profitable. There's some mission reward tied in with that, so don't pay any attention to that. And we did 617 XP, which is enough for Class 1, which makes me think that about 700 XP would get you your Mastery badge. Okay. Thank you for watching my review of the Chinese Vickers Mk Type B. If you liked the review, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun!